What would you do if the very woman you built your world for, the mother of your children, suddenly turned against you, locked you out of your own home, called the police, and handed your empire to another man? This is not fiction. This is the true story of a man who gave everything, only to be shattered by betrayal in America. But even in his darkest hour, he found a fight within him that no betrayal could kill.
This is my story. I never imagined my life would collapse on a cracked Brooklyn sidewalk, with nothing beside me but a battered suitcase and a heart full of betrayal. I stand on a cracked sidewalk in Brooklyn, New York, the neon lights of a bodega flickering behind me, casting jagged shadows on my face. My suitcase, battered and barely holding together, sits at my feet like a loyal dog that's seen better days. The air smells of fried plantain from a nearby food truck, but my stomach churns, not from hunger, but from the weight of betrayal. How did I get here? A man who once dreamed of the American dream, now homeless, my heart shattered by the woman I loved. My name is Chukwudi, Okeke, but everyone calls me Chuks. I'm 38 years old, but my heart feels 80. And just yesterday, I was a husband, a father, a businessman. Today, I'm nothing. It all started with love, or what I thought was love. My mother's voice echoes in my head, her words from years ago. Chuks, come back to Nigeria, marry a good Igbo girl, build a life with someone who shares our values and who will stand with you. I listened, I obeyed. Here I am, broken, in the very country where I thought I'd find salvation. And now I'm paying the price. I stare at the phone in my hand, the screen cracked like my life, and I wonder where to begin. Do I start with the dreams that brought me to America, the sacrifices I made for my wife, Amara, or the moment she threw me out of our home in Atlanta, calling the police, claiming I was a threat? My kids' faces flash in my mind. Chiamaka, 7, and Kamsi, 4. Their innocent eyes, unaware of their mother's betrayal. Let me take you back to where it all began, to the dusty and chaotic streets of Onitsha, Nigeria, where a boy dreamed of skyscrapers and Hollywood. I was 20, full of fire, saving every kobo from my job as a market trader to escape poverty. My parents were poor, my father a shoemaker, my mother a petty trader selling ugu leaves. But I had a vision, America, the land of opportunity. I'd seen it on TV, glossy cars, big houses, people living like kings. I wanted that. I worked, I hustled, I applied for a visa. And when I finally got it, I thought I'd won the lottery. Little did I know, the real cost was yet to come. But to understand how I ended up abandoned on a Brooklyn sidewalk, you need to know where it all began, back in the dust and chaos of Onitsha.
Before the heartbreak, before America, I was just a boy in Onitsha chasing a dream too big for my pocket, but too strong for me to ignore. Onitsha was my world in 2007. The market buzzed with life, wild, unstoppable. Traders shouting at the top of their lungs, hawking wares like it's a battle. Buses honk, keke riders and motorcycles weaving through the madness, the smell of roasted corn and exhaust fumes thick in the air. That was my world. I was a hustler then, selling second-hand clothes and Koro markets. My stall was small, but my dreams were skyscraper tall. I sold second-hand clothes and Koro markets, haggling with customers while dreaming of a bigger life. At night, when the city softened and generators hummed like restless bees, I sit under a flickering bulb, poring over textbooks, studying for my JAMB exams, but still determined to go to university in America. Sometimes my father, a shoemaker, with hands permanently scarred by leather tools, would peek into my room. "Chuks, go and sleep. Morning will still come." But how could I sleep? My heart was chasing something bigger than Onitsha. My uncle Emeke in Houston fueled the fire. On crackling phone calls, he painted America in colors too bright for reality. "Chuks, America is where men become kings. You just need one chance," and promised to host me. I believed him. After 3 years of saving, I boarded a plane to New York in 2010, my heart pounding with hope. But America wasn't the glossy dream I had imagined. Uncle Emeke's wife, Susan, a stern white woman with a pinched face, didn't want me in their cramped apartment. "No relatives," she snapped, her eyes cold. Within a month, I was out, sleeping on a friend's couch in the Bronx. I took any job I could find, cleaning tables at McDonald's, sweeping streets in Harlem, even working the night shift at a mortuary, moving bodies to pay rent. The cold of those refrigerated rooms still haunts me. The weight of death a reminder of how far I had fallen from my dreams. I sent money home to my parents, lying about how well I was doing. "Mama, I'm fine," I'd say, while dodging ICE agents, living in fear of deportation. Employers exploited me, paying me half what citizens earned because I was undocumented. But I kept going. I enrolled in community college, studying business administration at night, sleeping 3 hours a day. I was building something, brick by brick, for myself and for Amara, the girl I'd met at UNN before I left Nigeria. She was my anchor, my reason to keep pushing. Little did I know, she'd become my undoing. I thought stepping on that plane was the beginning of my victory. But I had no idea it was also the beginning of my greatest test. When I first met Amara under the mango trees at Nsukka, I thought I had found love that would last forever. Amara was a vision when I met her in 2008 at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Her laugh was like music, her eyes bright with ambition. She made my heart restless and calm at the same time. She was studying nursing and I was smitten. We'd spend hours under the mango trees on campus, dreaming of a future together. "Chuks, when you make it in America, don't forget me," she teased, her fingers tracing mine. I said, "Forget you. You'll be my queen there." I answered, holding her hand. I meant it. I paid her school fees, sent money to her family in Aba, even bought her brother a motorcycle. I was her hero, or so I thought. By 2013, I had saved enough to bring her to Atlanta, where I'd moved after getting a work permit through a lucky break. I was hustling, running a small delivery business while still in school. Amara arrived wide-eyed, marveling at the skyscrapers of downtown Atlanta. We married in a small ceremony at a local church, her white dress glowing under the Georgia sun. I thought I had won life itself. I thought we were unstoppable. I worked harder, starting a logistics company, shuttling goods across state lines. Amara enrolled in a nursing program and I paid every dime, believing in our shared dream. But cracks were forming. She would stay up late, texting someone back in Nigeria, her phone screen hidden from me. "It's just my cousin," she'd say, her voice too quick. I trusted her. I had to. We had Chiamaka in 2015, then Kamsi in 2018. Fatherhood changed me. I wanted to give them everything. But Amara grew distant, her smiles forced. I chalked it up to stress. I didn't know she was building a life without me. one call at a time with someone I'd never met.
I brought Amara to America with dreams of building an empire together, but little did I know. Those same dreams would one day destroy me. Every empire begins to crumble somewhere, and mine started with small cracks inside my own home. By 2019, my logistics business was thriving. We moved into a 4-bedroomed house in Decatur, Georgia, with a backyard where Chiamaka and Kamsi could play. I'd built something from nothing, and I was proud. But Amara was different. She'd snap at me over small things, leaving dishes in the sink, coming home late from work. "Chuks, you're never here," she'd say, her voice sharp. I was working 16 hours a day to keep us afloat, to give her the life she wanted. I didn't understand her anger. One night, I found her phone unlocked on the kitchen counter. A message from a Nigerian number. "Baby, when are you coming back?" My heart stopped. I confronted her. "Amara, who's this?" She laughed it off, saying it was a friend, joking, but her eyes darted away, and I felt a knot in my gut. I started noticing things. Late-night calls she'd take in the bathroom, her sudden trips to visit friends in Lagos. I hired a private investigator, a guy named Tony from East Point, who dug into her communications. He found emails, WhatsApp chats, proof she was talking to a man named Emeka, not my uncle, but someone from her past in Aba, a lover from her past. That night, staring at those photos, I felt the walls of my world crack. I didn't know what to do. We had kids, a home, a life. I confronted her again, and she screamed, "You're paranoid, Chuks." But the seed was planted. I started losing sleep, checking her phone when she wasn't looking, my trust eroding. I was fighting to save my family, but I was losing myself. And then, the unthinkable happened. She locked me out of our house, called the police, and told them I was a threat. When I first saw those secret messages, I tried to convince myself it was nothing, but in my heart, I knew the storm was coming.
The night Amara locked me out of my own house and called the police, I knew the woman I loved was gone forever. It was a humid night in August 2024 when Amara threw me out. I'd come home late from a delivery run, exhausted, only to find my key wouldn't turn. Through the window, I saw her on the phone, her face calm, calculated. I knocked, shouted her name, my voice breaking. She opened the door, her eyes cold as stone. "Leave, Chuks. You are scaring the kids." Before I could respond, blue light flashed. 2 officers from DeKalb County Police stepped out, their hands on their holsters. "Sir, step away from the property." I tried to explain, but Amara's tears, fake I knew, sealed my fate. They escorted me off my own property, my kids' toys scattered on the lawn, mocking me. I spent the night in a cheap $40 motel off Peachtree Road, staring at the ceiling, the walls reeking of cigarettes, my mind racing. The man who had once conquered Onitsha conquered nothing. Tony, the investigator, sent me more evidence the next day. Photos of Amara with a man in Lagos during her last trip. Emeka, her lover, was a businessman, flashy and charming. She had been planning this for years, waiting for me to build our empire so she could claim it. She filed for divorce, demanding half my businesses, the house, even custody of Chamika and Kamsi. I was broken. I had given her everything, my heart, my hustle, my dreams. I thought of my mother's advice, how I had ignored American women who loved me, like Sarah,
a teacher from Brooklyn, who had begged me to stay with her. I chose Amara because I wanted to honor my roots. Now I was on the street, my kids caught in a war I didn't start. What could I do? Fight for my family or let her take it all? That night outside my own house, as the police lights faded, I realized my battle was no longer for love, it was for survival.
Stripped of my home, my business, and almost my children, I discovered a fight inside me I didn't know existed. I moved into a tiny apartment in East Atlanta, a far cry from our Decatur home. The walls were thin, the air conditioning broken, but it was all I could afford with the divorce looming. Every night, I'd lay awake, hearing Chiamaka's giggle in my mind, Kamsi's tiny hand in my hand. I couldn't lose them. I hired a lawyer, Miss Jenkins, a fierce woman from Midtown who believed in my case. "Chuks will fight," she said, her voice steady. "But you must be ready. Amara has painted you as the villain." The odds were against me. Amara's lies painted me as unstable, and her lawyer was ruthless. I kept working, but my businesses suffered. Clients dropped me, whispering about my personal issues. I was drowning, but I couldn't give up. I started gathering evidence, combing through years of bank statements, proving that I had funded Amara's education, her family's needs. I found receipts for plane tickets to Nigeria, hidden in her email. She'd been flying back to see Emeka, using my money. The betrayal cut deeper than I could bear, but it fueled me. I wasn't just fighting for my kids, I was fighting for my dignity. One evening, I met Amara at a mediation session. She sat across me, her face unreadable. "Chuks, let's make this easy," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Give me the house and the logistics company, and you can see the kids." I wanted to scream, to tell her how she had broken me. Instead, I leaned forward, my voice low. "Amara, I built this life. You don't get to take it." Her eyes flickered with something, fear maybe. For the first time, I felt I had a chance. I thought losing my house was the worst pain. But what Amara asked for next nearly broke me completely. To truly understand Amara's betrayal, I had to leave Atlanta and dig into the shadows of her past back in Nigeria. I started digging into Amara's past, desperate for leverage. I called her brother, Chidi, in Aba, hoping for answers. He was hesitant, his voice tight over the phone. He said, "Chuks, she's always been ambitious. Even in school, she had plans." He admitted Emeka was her first love, a man she dated before me. They'd reconnected when she went back to Nigeria in 2017, while I was grinding in Atlanta. My heart sank. She'd been playing me from the start. I flew to Nigeria, landing in Lagos at Murtala Mohammed Airport. Lagos welcomed me with chaos, horns blaring, vendors shouting, sweat dripping down my back. The chaos of the city was overwhelming. I tracked down Emeka in Victoria Island, a sleek man in a tailored suit sipping wine at a rooftop bar. He wore arrogance like a crown. I confronted him, my voice steady despite my rage. I asked him, "What's your deal with my wife?" He smirked, unbothered. "Amara's a free woman, Chuks. She chose me." I wanted to punch him, but I walked away. I had to be smart, not emotional. Back in Atlanta, I found an old friend, Nkechi, who'd known Amara at UNN. She revealed Amara had always been calculating, using relationships to climb. "She saw you as her ticket, Chuks," Nkechi said, her voice soft with pity. The truth was a knife, but it gave me clarity.
I wasn't just fighting a divorce, I was fighting a woman who'd planned her betrayal for years. I vowed to protect my kids, no matter the cost. What I uncovered in Nigeria confirmed what I had feared all along. Amara's betrayal was not an accident, it was a plan.
In that cold Atlanta courtroom, I stood not just as a man fighting for custody, but as a father fighting for his dignity. The divorce hearing was in a sterile courtroom in downtown Atlanta, the judge's gavel a ticking clock on my future. Amara sat across from me, her lawyer painting me as a controlling, unstable and dangerous man. I listened, my fists clenched, as she lied about my temper, my work hours, even my love for my kids. Miss Jenkins countered with evidence, bank statements, emails, Tony's photos. She said, "Your Honor, Mr. Okeke built this family. He deserves justice." I took the stand, my voice shaking but clear. I came to America with nothing. I worked in a mortuary, swept streets, hid from ICE. I did it for my family. Amara betrayed me, but I won't let her take my kids. The courtroom was silent, the weight of my words hanging in the air. Amara's face was stone, but her lawyer faltered. For the first time, I felt the tide turning. Outside, Chamaka and Kamsi ran to me, their small arms wrapping around my legs. "Daddy, are you coming home?" Chamaka asked, her eyes wide. I knelt, tears burning. "Soon, baby. Daddy's fighting." I didn't know if I'd win, but I knew I'd never stop. Amara watched from a distance, her expression unreadable. I wondered if she felt anything at all. Walking out of that courtroom, I knew the fight wasn't over. In fact, the darkest twist was still waiting for me. I thought I had seen betrayal at its worst, until the day I discovered Amara had been funding another man's life with my sweat. A week later, Tony called with a bombshell. "Chuks, Emeka is not just her lover, he's married. Amara's been funding his lifestyle in Lagos with your money." He sent me bank records, showing transfers to an account in Emeka's name. My head spun. She wasn't just cheating. She was using me to bankroll another man's life. I confronted her at a coffee shop in Buckhead, my voice calm but deadly. "Amara, I know about Emeka's wife. I know you are sending him money." Her face paled, but she recovered quickly. "You are desperate, Chuks. You'll say anything." But I saw the fear in her eyes. I handed the evidence to Miss Jenkins, who used it to file a motion for fraud. The judge froze our assets, halting Amara's plans. For the first time, I felt in control, but the victory was hollow. My kids were still caught in the crossfire, and I missed them every second. I started volunteering at a community center in Decatur, teaching kids like Chiamaka how to code. It kept me sane, gave me purpose. One night, a woman approached me. Sarah, the teacher from Brooklyn I'd once loved. She'd moved to Atlanta, heard about my story. "Chuks, you're stronger than you know," she said, her hand on my mind. I wanted to believe her, but my heart was still with my kids. Could I rebuild, or was I too broken? That day, I realized I wasn't just betrayed by my wife. I was being used to bankroll another man's secret life. And it changed everything. My future
may be uncertain, but one thing is clear. Betrayal will not be the final chapter of my story. The divorce case drags on like a storm that refuses to pass. Each day, I wake up in my small East Atlanta apartment, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of traffic outside, wondering when this fight will end. My lawyer, Miss Jenkins, remains steady. Her words, my lifeline. Chuks, you've shown the judge the truth. You've shown the world who you really are. Don't give up now. But the waiting is torture. My children's laughter echoes in my chest like an old record I can't stop playing. Every night I dream of Chiamaka braiding her doll's hair, of Kamsi's little feet running across the backyard I once owned. I wake up reaching for them, but only emptiness answers me. To survive, I build routines. I call them every day, even if Amara answers coldly before handing them the phone. "Daddy, when are you coming back?" Chiamaka asks, her voice small, almost breaking. I choke back my tears. "Soon, my princess, very soon. Daddy is fighting for you." Sometimes, after those calls, I walk the streets of Atlanta aimlessly. From the bustling lights of Peachtree Street, where couples laugh in cafes I can't afford, to the quiet corners of Decatur parks, where fathers push their kids on swings, I wander. Each sight cuts into me, but it also reminds me why I must endure. And in those lonely walks, memories come back. Onitsha's crowded markets, my father's workshop where the smell of leather mixed with sweat, my mother's voice warning me to be careful with love. Her advice led me to Amara, yes, but maybe it wasn't the advice that doomed me. Maybe it was my silence, my refusal to see the red flags. In the community center where I now volunteer, teaching kids how to code, I found a strange kind of healing. Their laughter fills the cracks in my soul. Some nights, parents thank me, not knowing I'm a father who can't tuck in his own children. That irony stings, but it also pushes me. One evening, after class, I sat alone on the center steps, watching cars stream down Memorial Drive. A teenager I had been mentoring looked at me and said, "Mr. Chuks, you don't look like someone who's lost. You look like someone who's about to win." I smiled, but deep down, I wondered, was he right, or was I just good at hiding my scars? The truth is, I've lost an empire, a wife, and the home I once called mine. But I haven't lost my fight. I am not the boy from Onitsha anymore, dreaming blindly of America. I am not the man who built an empire only to hand it to betrayal. I am Chuks, father, fighter, survivor. And though the road ahead is uncertain, I know one thing: betrayal will not be the final chapter of my life. The judge still hasn't ruled, and every day feels like a war I'm slowly losing. Some nights, I wonder if the system was designed for men like me to fail. Other nights, I feel a strange chill, as if the worst betrayal hasn't even revealed itself yet. I don't know if I'm standing on the edge of victory or the edge of something darker. All I know is this story isn't finished.
Love can blind even the strongest heart, but truth has a way of setting us free. When life shatters you, gather the pieces, because in rebuilding, you may discover a strength you never knew you had.
The road may be broken, but step by step, it still leads forward. Life has a way of breaking even the strongest hearts, but it's in those broken pieces that we often find our real strength. Chuki's story reminds us that betrayal might knock you down, but it can never define your end unless you let it. Because sometimes losing everything is the only way to find yourself again. If this story moved you, taught you something, or made you feel something deep inside, don't just scroll away. Hit that like button. It helps more people find stories like this. Subscribe to the channel for more true and powerful stories that mirror life, love, and the human struggle. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss when the next chapter drops. Because here, every story has a lesson, and every lesson has a soul. This is the Tamed Thug and Stories and Folktales, where real stories are told, raw, deep, and unforgettable. See you in the next one.